we will see what is Angular. Few basic things already I explained in the introduction. In the introduction, we discussed about some basic components about Angular. I will give an overview here. Actually, Angular is a developer's platform. Angular is a developer's platform. Actually, many times people have a definition like Angular is a framework. It is true that it is a framework, but it is not just framework, it is more than that. So that is the reason Angular is better to say it as a developer's platform. Developer's platform means it provides all tools that are required for a developer from building to deploying. Actually, developer requires a developer's platform. Developer's platform provides end-to-end solution for developer. So that means it provides a complete tool chain. It provides a complete tool chain for developer. Complete tool chain for developer. That means it provides tools for building. It provides tools for debugging. It provides tools for testing. And it provides tools for deploying. For everything it have tools. Actually, tool chain means in any software technology, if anybody asks, like suppose you are learning Java or .NET, to build a software application using Java or .NET, only Java language is enough. So only .NET languages are enough? No. You need a tool chain. Tool chain means you need language, you need frameworks, you need testing tools, you need servers, you need server management tools. So many are required. That means a language is not enough. You need a complete tool chain. So Angular is like that. Angular is a complete developer's platform. That is, you can see the official website angular.io. This is the official Angular. And see what they say about Angular. They say that Angular, the modern web developers platform. So, but when you are learning about Angular in many tutorials, people who teach Angular, they will tell about Angular as a framework because they are teaching you only framework. That is the reason, right? But Angular contains a lot of things. So better always say it as a developer's platform, right? Call it as a developer's platform. Actually, Google introduced Angular. Google introduced the concept of Angular, right? So, and maintained by Google and a large community of developers and organizations. That means Google introduced Angular, but it is maintained, it is open source. Open source means it is maintained by lot of companies. Because already you know that TypeScript is a language used by Angular. TypeScript belongs to Microsoft. Angular belongs to Google. testing tools belongs to, means the testing tools used in Angular belongs to Jasmine, Karma, Jasmine like tools. That means a lot of communities are there. All the communities are maintaining Google. Google is an open source. So that means it is, means Google's Angular is open source. So it is maintained by a large community of developers and organizations. Actually, so Google started AngularJS. They started AngularJS. So AngularJS. So with JavaScript. With JavaScript, they started AngularJS. But it was having a lot of issues. Lot of problems were there with AngularJS. That is the reason with JavaScript in early 2010. In 2010, they introduced this AngularJS and made it available to all the people. Actually, AngularJS is available with Google before world knows about AngularJS. I already told you in the introduction. Actually, suppose you see, have you seen this developers.google.com? Do you know this Google developers community? Do you have any idea? No? You know developers Facebook. You know developers Facebook community is also there. This is a Facebook developers community. This is the community of Facebook developers. This is Facebook developers community. Do you have any idea about what these people do? No. Actually, Google developers, Facebook developers, these are communities. You can be a member of that community. You can join this community. What is the role of this community? What these people do? Suppose you are using Google Play Store. In Google Play Store, lot of apps are there. All these apps in Play Store are not designed by Google. They are designed by some third-party people like you, developers like you. You can build apps and you can give to Google. You can give to Facebook. If they like your apps, you see on Facebook, lot of apps recommendations are coming, right? Photo editing, mixing, something like apps will be coming. So those are all not apps designed by Google or Facebook. They are developed by various developers. As a developer, you can build an app and give to Google. If they like your app, so it's good, then they will put that in the App Store, and for that they pay you monetizations. You know that Google pays for your YouTube videos. Google pays for your websites. So you have a YouTube channel, Google will pay you money for that, right? So Google pays for apps also. That means you develop an app, they will pay you if they like, and they put the app in the App Store. Now the question is, the developer's doubt is, which technology I should use to build app? Then Google says that whatever technology you know, you use it. Java, .NET, PHP, Python, anything. You build it and give it to us. We will take care about it. That means you can use any technology. So we started building apps for Google. We started building apps for Google, but we were not satisfied. Why we were not satisfied? Because the apps Google builds by itself. That means Google have its own apps, and we are building apps. When we look at both in comparison, Google apps looks more better in interface, in performance. They are looking more better than the apps that we built. Then we asked a question to Google, what you are using? You asked us to use whatever you know, but what you are using. Then Google said that we are using a framework called AngularJS. That means AngularJS is one framework which is available with Google before world knows about AngularJS. From several years they were using it internally, but world doesn't know about it. Then developers asked Google that why can't you make it open source? You make it open source, we will also use it. Then Google said that okay, we will make it open source. In 2010 they made it open source. Like that, so many things are there with product based companies which you don't know. We don't know, you don't hear about them outside. For example, you see, you got a job in Google and you worked for 5 years in Google, 10 years in Google. After that, you come out of Google, you will be zero. As a software developer, you are a zero. If you worked for Google for 5-10 years and try to come out of it. Why? Because in those 5-10 years, you will be working on Google's own product based languages and all. Those languages are not used anywhere outside. Then after coming out of Google, what you will do? Where you will apply? These kind of issues will be there when you are working in a product based environment. That is the reason developers need to wisely choose the companies according to the project. Blindly, not like Google give me a opportunity, I will go to Google because Google is world's best. Right? Your careers will be in risk if you are working in a product based companies. So many problems will be there. So that is the reason. Point is, you need to first understand in that where your role will be. If you are working on a technology which is globally used, then it's okay. For example, like this, so many are there. I hope you people know Go language. I showed you. You know there is a language called Go programming language. This is Go programming language. You may be hearing for the first time, but it is Google's language used for artificial intelligence. It is very much trending now. Trending now means in future it will trend. Currently, IITs people are learning this. They are learning. So the point here is, world completely doesn't know about this language. Why they are learning? That means it may be the future. So we don't know. We are not sure. By the time another technology comes, we don't know. But currently, this is the future. So we are not sure, but it may be the future. But this is a language not still known to everybody. It is internally used. You have Google have a lot of artificial intelligence. Everything is done with this language only. So the point here is, AngularJS was also similar. Later, world came to know about AngularJS. That is the reason when AngularJS came, everybody started using AngularJS, but some drawbacks are there. What are the drawbacks of AngularJS? The first important drawback is, that means what are the issues with AngularJS? The issues with AngularJS, first issue is, it is AngularJS. AngularJS is not designed for what you are using. It is not designed for what you are using. Hence lot of gaps. AngularJS is not designed for what you are using. It is not designed for what you are using. That is the reason lot of gaps. What does that means? So I already told you that AngularJS built by Google for its internal reasons. And what developers asked, developers said that you give us, we will also use it. Then Google made it as open source and they say that, okay, you also use it. Is it developed for you? It is not developed for you, but you are using it. In that case, obviously it will have some problems. Gaps. What are gaps? I will tell you. See, this is very important to understand in software development. For example, suppose I will give an example. Suppose like you have a supermarket. A supermarket people, they want an application, they want an app. That means a supermarket people want an app, they want to build an app, they want app. Suppose you are working with a company, some software development companies. That means like some IBM, so or Wipro or Infosys or so many. You are working for any of these companies and you have to build an app for supermarket. Then which technology we have to use? Java, .NET, PHP, Python. Which technology to use? How a technology is chosen? How a technology is chosen to build an application? Actually, to choose a technology for building application, in our software development companies, we prepare one table. The table contains details like as is, to be, and gap. We design a table which contains these details. As is, to be, and gap. This is the table first we design. As is means what your technology is capable of. What your technology is capable of. To be means what client wants. What client wants. Gap means what your technology cannot fulfill. That is gap. What your technology is capable of, what client wants, and what your technology cannot fulfill. For example, so we have now technologies like Java, .NET, PHP, Python, like this. So many are there. To build an app, we can use these technologies. Now, generally, the question here is which technology to use. Which technology to use? It is decided by this table. We have as is, to be, and gap. As is means what your technology capable of. For example, see, suppose you are learning Java or .NET. If I ask you, can you write a program in Java or .NET to generate a barcode or to read a barcode? Can you? Have you learned how to write a program to generate a barcode or to generate a QR code or to read a barcode or QR code? Then how you will build an app for supermarket? Every product have a barcode. Then how you will build a supermarket app? Right? How you will build? You haven't learned that, but that is the primary requirement in supermarket. Right? I need a gun, barcode gun. Through that I can read the barcode. It will show the product details on screen. Your Java, your .NET can show product details on screen. But through reading through a barcode, it should show the details and you don't know the program. Then how you will design an app for supermarket? Is your Java, is your .NET, is your PHP, Python having, are these technologies having any kind of library for reading barcode or generating barcodes? Internally, they don't have. This is gap. We call these are gaps. Every technology is not capable of doing everything. Every technology is not capable of doing everything. Every technology have gaps. So if anybody says Java is great, .NET is great, so PHP is great, others are not, he is an software illiterate. Dumb software illiterate. Right? Why? Because what you are talking about? That means IBM, Wipro, Infosys have only Java developers. Nobody else in the world. Only .NET developers. Nobody else in the world. That is silly thing when people talking about this technology is good, this technology is not good. On what basis you are telling this? Right? The point is, in software companies, in one company there will be .NET projects, Java projects, PHP projects, Python projects, all. Because we choose technology not on its popularity. We choose technology not on how many people are learning. We choose technology based on how much it can satisfy the client requirements. Right? That means, for example, suppose to build this supermarket app, suppose we have like Java, it is having some like 20% gaps. 20% gaps are there. Suppose we are having like some .NET, it is having some 19% gaps, or say 22% gaps, like this. We have like PHP, it is having 2% gaps. Then we go with PHP. We will not use Java, .NET because somebody said that these are popular. Right? We don't believe in the popularities. So how much popular it is in Amirpet, how much popular it is in Hyderabad, these are all rubbish things. Right? Is it suitable for that requirements or not? That is the primary concept. So technically we choose technology so based on gaps. And now the question is, PHP also 2% gaps. Then how to fulfill those 2%? There are 20% gaps. How to fulfill those 20%? We have to depend on lot of third parties. We have to depend on third party. For example, you are learning Java or .NET and you want to write a program for generating barcode. They internally don't have that library. Now you can buy library. You can purchase a library. So there are so many people who sell libraries. Our companies purchases them. For example, you see Telric. So there is a Telric, Telric.com. This is Telric. It is one of the popular third party. You may not heard about this Telric. You may not heard about, but you see, these are the customers of Telric. NASA is customer of Telric. Then you say, I don't know Telric. Telric don't care about you. Right? You don't know Telric, that's your problem. It supports NASA like people. That means the software support for NASA. Then you can imagine their abilities. Software support for Microsoft. Software support for IBM. You may ask, like, IBM, Microsoft itself software companies. Now these are supporting them. Means what? It's very simple point. Actually, suppose you are using a Samsung mobile. I hope you people know that the camera lens in Samsung doesn't belong to Samsung. You know, it belongs to some Carl Jesus lens. company, world's famous lens company. You know that, right? Right? Then why you cannot ask like, why Samsung itself you can't build a lens? Right? Do you know in your mobile, you are using a mobile with the parts in mobile built by 10 different companies. Only box says that Samsung, but internally it is built by so many people. Some companies are specialized in a chip, they build those chips. Some special companies are specialized in camera, they build cameras. Right? Some are specialized in lens, they build lens, and we assemble all of them and build a device. We have a contract with them saying that you supply lens to us, you supply this to us. That is how software companies also function. In software development, your technology is not capable of doing everything. Your technology have to depend on several third party. That means you cannot ask Microsoft, IBM, why can't you build everything? They will say that already we are building so many things, we don't want to take that risk. Somebody is already doing, let him do. We will borrow from him and we will use. Right? Why Google is using a Microsoft language? Google have genius developers. They can build their own language now. Right? Time waste. Why they have to do? Already it is there. Use it. They don't want to take an extra risk of maintaining something new. They will concentrate on their existing business, and others depends on third party. You see here, you will find so many things. For example, here you can see, here I will take you to the demos. Here you will have .NET, JSP, PHP, all related options available. You belong to suppose Java, then you have JSP. And you see, I will open the JSP. Here you can see lot of things are there. You can see lot of things are there. These are all libraries. Suppose in your Java, suppose you see you want a barcode, you can see they given a barcode library here. They given a barcode library. And you can see the source. So they are using a barcode library here. They will give you the code, but these are not free. You have to pay money for using this library. You cannot simply copy and download and use them. You need to pay money for that. It's not free. Some are free, but for real world projects, these free are not enough. We need to depend on a lot of third parties. Everything, so many things. I given a complex thing, even a simple thing. Suppose, have you learned how to design a registration form or a login form in Java, .NET like technology? Right? Now the question is, what is the threat when your registration and login form goes online? When you host a website real time, what is the threat? Is that registration login form can be used by robots. How to prevent robots? By using CAPTCHA. Have you learned how to design CAPTCHA? Then how? That's a very basic requirement. On internet, you cannot imagine a login registration form without CAPTCHA. And you are saying that you learned Java and .NET and you don't know how to design CAPTCHA, then what? That means your trainers will teach you how to use that services, third party. First you finish your technology, then they will teach you some third parties. Those third parties will fulfill certain gaps. Right? In between you will not learn, obviously. Right? Once you finish your technology, at the end, your trainer will tell that, okay, now you learned Java and .NET. Now Java and .NET have these gaps to fulfill. You have to learn some third parties. Then they will train you on some third parties which are regularly used. And in companies, you have to work with a lot of third parties that you haven't learned in class. You have to explore by yourself and use them. Right? Technically, this is the point. Why AngularJS was a problem in the beginning? Because it was not designed for us but we are using. Due to that, lot of gaps. Another problem is it uses JavaScript as language. Then already JavaScript drawbacks we learned now. It is not what strictly typed. It is not strongly typed. We discussed these points, and it is not will not support complete OOP. Am I right? All these are the issues with Angular JS. That is the reason what happened is Google started an alternative technology. So in 2014 by name Angular. Angular is different, Angular JS is different. Now what Google started is to overcome all these issues, they started Angular. Remember, Angular is not replacement for Angular JS. As I given here, it is an alternative. Alternative means you can use Angular JS or Angular. And they named it as Angular 2. Before that, Angular JS was Angular JS 1x versions, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 like that. So even today, Angular JS is used and required. Many times people, you will hear from your friends or somebody. So without proper knowledge, they are saying Angular JS is outdated now. Nobody is using, right? But you see here, suppose I will take a look on Naukri. In Naukri site, see what we are doing. In Naukri site, I am searching for Java full stack developer. I am searching for Java full stack developer. When I am searching for Java's full stack developer, here they are asking Angular JS. And it is TCS. And some of your friends said that Angular JS is outdated, no longer in use. That means he is genius than TCS. Silly, foolish things, these are all. Right? Because many people come and ask regularly, sir, my friend said, my cousin said, my brother said. Whatever they say, tell them to keep with them. Right? Whatever they say, tell them that keep your knowledge with you. Right? That is the best answer for them. Right? That means now TCS, one day ago they posted this job. Now ask TCS to learn from your friend that Angular JS is no longer in use. He will suggest a new technology. That is silly things. These are all very silly points that you generally come across with your friends and other people in software companies. That React is good than Angular, Angular is good than React. Learn this. I hope many people suggested you to learn Angular. And some people suggested you to learn React. Right? Saying that this is best, this is trending, this is this. These are all not correct. Because this keep on changing according to the requirements. Business requirements, project requirements, everything will be considered. Right? So that means they are asking Angular JS. Unfortunately, you are not eligible for this job because you are not learning it. You are learning Angular. Right? That means you have to learn Angular JS separate again. But this is for 5 to 7 years experience. Reasonable. Why? Because 5 to 7 years experience means they already might have learned old Angular JS. They know. And now they know Angular. But companies still using that Angular JS because projects already built. And we are using them. And in that case, we need people with knowledge of old. And see, some companies are asking for Angular only. That means when you learn Angular, you can see some are asking for Angular JS and some are asking for Angular. And you can see some are asking for Angular and React, right? Both. And very important is this is also, I think, TCS only. But this time it may be different location, different project. Different location, different project. They need Angular and React people. Both knowledge, not separate. They don't want separate Angular and React. They want a person with both knowledge, Angular and React. That is the requirements actually. Technically, these are the requirements. So you should know that Angular is not a replacement. Angular is just an alternative, but it have more advanced features when compared to Angular JS. We have better options. That's the reason we can suggest this as an alternative for Angular JS. But we cannot force anybody to use Angular. Why? Because their project is already built in Angular JS and it is working fine. They need not to upgrade. Right? That is the reason in several companies you may be learning currently which version of Java, latest version, Java 11, I think 11 upgraded version came. Recent features came, I think, Java 11 or 10, but companies are still using Java 8. You know, majority. .NET, so .NET Core, but still .NET is being used without core. So those so many points are there. That means every time new version is not used depending on the requirements. So Angular JS and Angular. Angular JS is different. Angular is different. We are not learning Angular JS. We are learning Angular. Angular is little bit advanced when compared to Angular JS. Have better features when compared to Angular JS. So, but it is not a replacement. It is just an alternative. Technically, this is the point you need to understand. So, after Angular 2, several versions came. The latest Angular version is 14. The latest Angular version is 14. We are going to deal with this version. We are going to work with this Angular 14 version. Actually, Angular several versions are there, and as per the Google community, so versions up to Angular 12. The versions up to Angular 12 are no longer, up to 11, no longer supported. And actually Angular versions 12 and 13 are currently in LTS. LTS means long-term support. They are going to be in long-term support. So that means currently the valid versions of Angular are Angular 12, Angular 13 and Angular 14. Other versions also your companies may use, but it is not supported by Google officially. They are outdated now. Officially not supported. That means you see here, let's check here. Angular versions. Official website will be there, huh? Not somebody else. Yeah. Angular release guide you can go through here. This is Angular release guide. And in this Angular release guide, you can see the version numbers. You can see 12 and 13 are in long-term support. Currently 14 active. Right? All other versions, Angular version 2 to 11 are no longer under support. This is officially from the people who built Angular. They officially say that you are using older versions of Angular, we are not responsible. Any problem comes, you take care. You can use, no problem. But we are not responsible for any issues. And we don't support any updates or any changes in this. You are using, still companies are using, then they are using on their own risk. If they are using a version which is supported, then good. Why? Because this community will support. If any issue will come, they will support. Otherwise, no support. Without support, you can use older versions. So official 12 and 13 are in LTS, and of course, they are going to end. 13 is going to end in 23. This already ended, not ended. Still it is there. Up to November, I think it is there. Up to November, it is there. That means it will end soon. And this is the latest version. And this is the latest version. This is released in 6/22. So second, that means it is released in June 2nd, 22, which is the very latest version. And we are going to learn this version. We are going to learn this. So that is just basic thing you need to know about versions. That means up to 11 no longer supported. And 12 and 13 are currently in LTS. And currently active version is which one? 40. That is, this is the basic point about versions. Now the question is, how Angular is different? Features of Angular. What are the features of Angular? How Angular is better than Angular JS, its previous, right? What are the key features? First important is Angular is modular. Angular is modular. Of course, I hope you learned all your technologies are now modular. Java have a modular library. .NET have a modular library. You learned that feature? Earlier we used to have a legacy libraries. Now we have a modular libraries. Modular library, legacy library. Difference is nothing but actually, suppose we are having, let's give one simple example. Suppose A is a function, B is a function, C is a function, D is some functions are there. These functions are present in demo.some library, right? And what we are doing, we are building an application. In this application, I want to use the C function. Then usually what I have to do is import this library. Am I right? You have to import this library in order to use that function. Why you are importing a complete library to use only one function? Don't you think it is burden for application? You are using only one function and you are importing a complete library of 5 MB, 6 MB for that to handle just after all one function. This is legacy. All your technologies were legacy type earlier. Even Java, .NET, all these technologies are legacy type earlier. From recent years, they changed their library into modular. Modular means only the library that is needed for that application will be loaded into memory. Application specific library. Framework, application specific framework, that is called modular. Earlier, your technologies were not doing that. Now, from past few years, they changed their libraries into modular. Every technology, including Java, .NET, all these technologies changed their library to a modular library. Earlier, we don't have modular libraries. We were using a lot of legacies. Legacy library means entire library is imported even to handle a small operation. Now, only the library that is required for that will be loaded. That means what is modular library? That means we can call application specific library. That means only the library that is required for application will be used. What is advantage of that? So applications becomes lightweight. applications can render faster. As per Google community, Angular is 10x faster than Angular JS as per Google itself. That means as per the Google community, so Angular is 10 times faster than Angular JS because of its modular approach, because of its legacy, not using legacy, we call as asynchronous library. Asynchronous libraries. Asynchronous library means, what is the advantage of asynchronous? Asynchronous allows to handle multiple tasks at a time. Earlier you may be hearing about multi-threading very much, right? But multi-threading now it is becoming extinct almost. We rather prefer asynchronous programming than multi-threading. Java, .NET, all these are now having async approach, asynchronous programming, right? These technologies use an asynchronous approach. That means async library means it allows you to perform multiple tasks simultaneously at the same time. That is the async options. For example, I will tell you one simple concept again here. So suppose see, so we have, means what is async? I will give a simple point here. Suppose we have A, B, C, D. Now what is this A? It is A is so 10 MB and B is some 5 MB and C is some 15 MB and this is 2 MB. Now what happens is, generally when you are accessing here, when I make a request to A, I need to read from A to D everything. So I made a request to A. When I made a request to A, now what happened is, it is 10 MB, it is taking more time. It is taking more time. Then generally what happens if it is synchronous, it will wait until the 10 MB finish. After that, then it will go to this second. But generally, now what happens is, in asynchronous approach, it will make a request to A and it is taking more time. Then what it will do is, it will make a request to B. It will make a request to C. It will make a request to D. It will not wait for response. And which one is ready? Which one lightweight is ready? It will get the response from there. This type of approach is called as what? Asynchronous approach. This is called asynchronous approach. So this is asynchronous library, right? Asynchronous library is nothing but allows you to perform the tasks multiple at a time. So Angular is modular, Angular is lightweight, and Angular is faster, and Angular is using async library. Another important is, in the latest, Angular uses AOT technique. Angular uses AOT technique. AOT is actually ahead of time. AOT technique, ahead of time. I hope you learned in JavaScript, right? JavaScript is just in time, JIT directly. JavaScript is JIT, just in time. We have two techniques. We have AOT and just in time. Actually, JavaScript difference, that means you see JavaScript based technologies, two types of compiling techniques are there. JIT is just in time, two types of techniques. Another one is AOT. AOT is ahead of time. We have two types of technique, just in time and ahead of time. So what is difference between just in time and ahead of time? JavaScript based technologies, they can use these two type of compiling techniques. Actually, what is difference between AOT and just in time is, generally just in time means, what this is the browser. That means we are having a browser. Now just in time means whatever the code you written, it will compile in browser. That means it will load in browser and it will compile in browser. That is just in time. Ahead of time means it will compile in the application before it goes into browser. So JavaScript based technologies, they can use these two type of compiling techniques, just in time, ahead of time. These are the two compiling techniques. Just in time, it compiles in browser. Ahead of time, it compiles in application level, not in the browser. Actually, if anybody asked what is JavaScript, how you define? If anyone asks like what is JavaScript? JavaScript is not a client-side script. So don't say JavaScript is client-side script. Generally, that is what people know about JavaScript in learning level. What is the official definition of JavaScript? JavaScript is a just-in-time interpreted is a lightweight. So lightweight and just-in-time compiled programming language. You will fall down on me. You go back and sit. You go back and sit. Because I am feared that you will fall on me. 1 second. Right. So JavaScript is a lightweight and just-in compiled programming language. Lightweight and just-in compiled programming language. This is official definition. So actually, you see who built JavaScript? I told you MDN. You know MDN, right? Brendan Eich, father of JavaScript. MDN belongs to him. MDN is Mozilla Developers Network. JavaScript is built and maintained by this community. You can go to this MDN. You can see JavaScript is lightweight, interpreted, just-in-time compiled programming language. That is the official definition of JavaScript. JavaScript is lightweight, interpreted, or just-in-time compiled programming language. JavaScript is not client-side. Because you may not know, JavaScript is used server-side also. JavaScript is used in database also. JavaScript is used in animation softwares also. So don't restrict JavaScript as client-side script because of not having a proper knowledge on it. Right? JavaScript is not a client-side script. It's a very big language which can be used server-side also. It can be used in database also. JavaScript is used server side. JavaScript is used in databases. JavaScript is used client side. You learned only client side. JavaScript is a lightweight, just-in-time compiled programming language. I came to this website to show you what the people who built it says about it. Right? So the point here is why it is called just interpreted. It is lightweight, interpreted, right? Interpreted and just-in-time compiled. Interpreted means line by line translation. Interpreter means line by line translation. Just-in-time means entire program is translated. Where? Browser. But now Angular-like technologies are translating before it reaches browser. That's good. That is faster. For that, actually, it uses compilers like Babel. Babel is a compiler for JavaScript. JavaScript based technologies use a compiler called Babel. So JavaScript compilers, we have Babel, we have V8. V8 is also a very popular compiler. Actually, Babel is a compiler. This Babel compiler is also used. So Babel compile, yeah. This Babel compiler, you can see it is a JavaScript based JavaScript compiler. Anywhere JavaScript based technologies, this compiler is used. Even React also uses Babel only. Angular, React, Vue, all these technologies uses same compiler, Babel. Right? React and this. That is the reason. So one interesting point is you can have an application built with a combination of Angular and React both. You can have both in one, because Angular is framework, React is library. You can put React library in Angular and use. That is the ability actually. So because compiler is same, right? The point here, you will learn these kind of techniques. So Angular is modular. Not only that, it uses AOT techniques. Because of that, it is fast. So earlier, even Angular also was using JIT up to Angular 12. From Angular 13-14 version onwards, it officially started using AOT. Before that, JIT only. Angular people who haven't learned latest versions, they still know about JIT only. Right, JIT compiling technique. But Angular latest people know that Angular is no longer using JIT. It is using AOT. AOT. Another important is it is component based. It is component based. What is advantage of component based? That means easy to reuse. Easy to reuse. It is component based. It is easy to reuse. That means we can easily reuse it. Component based is easy to reuse and build. It is faster also. We can easily reuse and build. It is faster. For example, I will tell you an example. Component based means, for example, we have Netflix. Netflix is component based. All the recent, all websites, applications are component based on. Component based means you see at the top Netflix and drop down and button, that is header component. You see at in the middle, this is main component. In that, this is register component. Register component, observe carefully. This register component is having a text box and button. You can scroll down. It is repeating that again here. Now the question is, how you can do that? Will you copy and paste the code? You learned HTML. You have a screen at the top. Same I want at the bottom. What you have to do? You copy and paste. That is not good. That is not reusability. We need to design in such a way that we must able to reuse. Then you can build it as a component. Component based is not a new concept. It's a very old thing. Component based is a very old thing. Angular, React are making them easy. Because component based is already there in your HTML, JavaScript also. I will tell you one example. See, component based is not a new concept. It is already there. Component based is already there. But now it is made very easy. I will show you. For example, see, you learned HTML. When you learned HTML, I hope you learned, like, suppose I will take a HTML file. Yeah. Suppose here I am using date of birth. I am writing input type is equal to date. Right? Now see what happens here. When I say input type equal to date, you can see so much came in the interface. Just by using the word date, how come this much interface comes? See, this is not just text box. It is a text box with some text. There is a calendar icon, am I right? And when I click on that calendar icon, a calendar will open. In that I can select a date. This date will be stored there. This is not an ordinary thing. It is a very big component designed actually. You may be thinking like it is just an element. No, it is not element, it is component. It is a combination of so many things. You want to see what it is? You can see. Right click in the page. Go to inspect. Now here, actually in the settings, let me change this. Yeah. Actually, you go to this here. As an ordinary HTML learner, what you know about it, I will show you. See, in the body section, there is input type date. Am I right? You are thinking that this date is designing all this. No. If you want to see what is behind it, then you go to the settings. In the settings, scroll down. You will find an option, Shadow DOM. You select the option Shadow DOM and close. You see now this date is designed with a lot of design. You see, this is all used to design the date. Right? You may feeling like I am just using a date control. You are not using a date control. You are using a date component. This component is again built with a lot of things. What do you think this entire interface is? That means you generally think that this is date, this is text box. So in this text box, what is happening? So we have some month, some day, am I right? Some year, like this we are having now. Now beside this there is a icon, am I right? Actually it is designed with a lot of things. That means it is having a span. In that it is having 11. Understood? It is having another span. There it is having a slash. It is having another span. In that it is having that number. And they have used a calendar now. Actually, this icon is already having in the background on click event. On click, it is popping up a calendar. You are selecting, collecting the values, storing in that. Lot of work is going on. Do you know in real world projects, we ask our developers to build components like this. At JavaScript level also, you can learn how to design such components, but it is very risky. That it's so much time consuming process. So nobody teaches you about components in JavaScript. That is the reason you may not know that component is also a part of JavaScript. But nobody in the world of JavaScript will teach you about components in JavaScript because it is very risky. And in the modern generation, we are not directly using them. We are using them with the help of Angular and React. But without Angular, React also, components will be there. Components are there. We design application by using components. What is advantage? To design a date control, you don't need to do all this now. You don't need to do all this. You have to just use the component name. That is what Angular specialty is. That means you can build reusable components and use in any project you want. Any project you want, not only in one project. You can build components and give it to other developers who can use your components and build their applications easily. That is the advantage of component based. And these are all components only. When you look at the websites in the modern generation, all are component based. Suppose you see Netflix, when I open this. So this is register component. Here you see there are FAQs now. I click, it opens. I click on another, the previous one will collapse. Do you know, as a web designer, do you know what is the name of this component? What is the name of this component? One click, one is expanding. Another click, previous collapsing, this one expanding. Do you know the name of this component? It is very popular in web design. And generally you are a developer and your client will say that we need this component. What is this component name? Any idea? It is called accordion. Its name is accordion. We call this component as accordion. Now, in real-time projects, we don't build this. Ready-made accordions are present. We will bring them and put them with our own data. For example, you see Get Bootstrap. You have a Bootstrap website now. In this Bootstrap, you can see, so we can have components. You can see there is an accordion. You see this is accordion component, accordion. The accordion actually looks like this. Understood? This is accordion. This is accordion. Suppose you have seen in Amazon, you can see there is a sliding banner. Na? Do you know? I hope you know this name. What it is called as? Carousel. This is called carousel. You see, Bootstrap have a carousel. You see, carousel looks like this. This is carousel. This is carousel. And for that, already code is there. Just you have to bring it and use it, customize according to your requirements. That's what software development is. Software development is not about building everything by yourself. It will take years of time to do so. Software development is all about reusing. That means you must able to, the first qualification of a software engineer is to be very good in copy pasting. That is the first qualification. Very good in copy pasting, and it is not easy. Copy, paste and make changes according to your requirements. Don't waste time in designing. Nobody will waste time in design, because software development is not talent show. They are not checking your talent. It's business. You have to do work, for that they pay you. That's it. That is not talent show. Don't try to show your talent there. Just do the work given to you. Software development is all about doing the work, and don't waste time. Just use ready-made, right? Nobody will object in that, right? Even officially they say that we have repository here, copy and paste from here, right? You don't write everything. Don't waste time in writing everything, because in the final we need a functionality with design. So you have to design it by that time, and for that you should not waste time in writing by yourself. You copy, paste, make changes and achieve it. That is what you have to do. So that is very important for a software developer, right? And here Angular React-like technologies will provide such reusable components to you so that you can easily build an application. So application building is easy because of component based. And what is a component actually? Component is rich in design, rich in styles and functionality. Understood? You have to just implement and customize according to your requirements. That is all very important features of Angular. So what are the key features of Angular? Angular is modular, Angular is lightweight, Angular is faster, Angular uses asynchronous libraries, it uses AOT mechanism instead of JIT mechanism, and it is component based, it is easy and faster for building application. One more very important you have to know is it is completely decoupled from DOM. It is completely decoupled from DOM manipulations. This is very important. That is the reason you don't need to depend on a lot of DOM manipulation. You learn DOM manipulation, get element by ID, get element by tag name. You don't need that. Actually, it internally uses frameworks like MVC and MVVM. That makes Angular more better in interface and better in functionality. It internally uses MVC. You have learned MVC Spring MVC, ASP.NET MVC in your .NET and Java. You will learn if you haven't, right? Spring MVC, server side that is. This is client side. You have server side MVC, you have client side MVC. You will learn client side how to use this MVC framework. So completely decoupled. I will show you one simple point. You see, means actually, I will show you this when compared to JavaScript and this here example I will put here. See, I'm installing here. Let's install. So I'm using npm install Angular. Don't worry how to install. Later I will tell you detail. Just observe the concept. I am trying to make you understand what is meant by decoupled from DOM. Right? See, here I am designing some page. I am designing some page here, HTML head and title, demo, and in the body. Suppose we have some username and we have a text box and we have text, and here we have some break. Okay, and after that I will put a paragraph here. Okay. Now, one simple thing is, whenever user is typing name, I have to collect the name and I want to display the name here beside hello in paragraph. That is the general concept. That while typing I have to do. That means not button click. While typing itself I have to do. Then in JavaScript, what we have to do? In JavaScript, you have to write an event. What is it? On key up. So on key up, write a function, am I right? You have to configure the function. We have to collect the value from the text box, update into the paragraph. Get element by ID or tag name you have to use. But see now, I'm using Angular framework here. Script source is I am using Angular framework. Angular framework I am using here. Angular framework will take control here. Here you see the text box is having a model called username. User contains data. In MVC framework, model is data, and here I am displaying username. So am I using any events, any functions, anything here? I am not using anything here. Let's run this and see here, and I am typing here and it is working. Nothing. No event, no DOM manipulation, nothing. No get element by ID, no tag names, nothing. And have you observed everything is happening? So with this is making everything happen. And this is written inside this Angular brace, am I right? That means it is taking control of everything within this Angular brace, within this Angular base. That is the reason this technology is named as Angular. This technology is named as Angular because it manages everything in those Angular only. Your JavaScript jQuery have to manage outside Angular. They have to manage outside Angular and it manages inside Angular. That is why it is named as Angular. So why it is called Angular? Angular because it manages everything in an Angular. It makes the static DOM into a dynamic DOM in just this Angular. That is why it is called Angular. It is configured as Angular. So the name Angular is because of its behavior. It makes everything dynamic. That means why it is called Angular. So it is known as Angular It is known as Angular because it can manage everything. So within the Angular, within this Angular. So it is known as Angular because it can manage everything within this Angular. That is the major concept. That means, so the Angular makes static to dynamic. Within it, it will manage. You don't need to depend on much events and all, right? This makes it more better and faster and easier. You know, already if you learned JavaScript, you know that this is far better than JavaScript. That is nothing, no logic, right? Less logic and more functionalities. No more DOM, get element, create elements. You don't need to do anything. It's very simple. You will learn so many other things will be like that. So these are all the features of Angular, right? Now, how to use this, we will see now. Now what we will see, we will learn how to build an application. That means now we will see how to set up and install Angular on your PC and how do we work with that. That we'll see in next session. Tomorrow we will do that. From tomorrow we will start practical in Angular.